The average inflation in 2022 was 8%. That means you lost 8% of your life savings in 1 year. Unfortunately, I'm not kidding. Cumulative inflation since 2021 is 16%, which means you've lost 16% of your life savings in 3 years. This should signal signs of disaster in your brain. Imagine if your financial manager told you that he lost 15% of your life savings in just the last couple years. You would consider that a catastrophic failure and probably fire him on the spot. But this is what happens every single year to you and me. We are charged an invisible tax called inflation. Many of you have probably heard the term, but don't really understand the severity of the issue. The actual number in your bank account stays the same, which is how they trick you. That $100,000 house now costs $300,000, but your bank account reports the same number, so you think everything's fine. You're just mad at innocent businesses like Subway for charging $13 for what used to be a $5 footlong. So, while your dollars are losing value, Bitcoin is gaining value. In fact, Bitcoin jumped 156% in 2023 alone. To put that into perspective, $100,000 kept in USD would be worth $95,000 at the end of 2023. $100,000 kept in Bitcoin at the end of 2023 would be worth $256,000, almost a 3x difference. So, the question is, why is Bitcoin gaining value while the US dollar is losing value? Guys, if you don't know what Bitcoin is or how it works yet, this video is a little bit too complicated for you still. Watch our video where we explain Bitcoin in the best way you've ever heard in only 6 minutes first, then come back. This is more for the people wondering, why do I need to learn about Bitcoin? Spoilers, Bitcoin is the ideal currency. It's a better store of value than paper money, gold, and everything else. But first, to understand why, we have to understand what a currency is. What is a currency? A currency is what we use to buy and sell products and services. Right now, we use paper dollars. In the past, people used things like rocks, seashells, and gold. But currency is more than just that. Currency is a representation of value. It enables the conversion of value into a physical thing. I work hard and receive $5 in return. The 5 units I created from working are stored in this $5 bill. I can now go use my value to get things I need in return. But what happens if my $5 bill catches fire and burns away? The value I created from working gets vaporized. It's just gone, turned to dust. That means using paper dollars as a currency has flaws. It loses the value it's supposed to be storing. This example is a bit crazy, but it is essentially what inflation does. Imagine this. You have $5 in your bank account. The government turns on the printer and gives everyone $1 billion. Does anyone care about your $5 anymore? No, it's worthless. It was devalued because the supply is so much greater. One regular house now costs $100 billion. You still have your $5 left over, but is it really $5? Is it really worth anything anymore? That's really what inflation is. This is the problem with the vast majority of currencies. What is an ideal currency? An ideal currency enables the conversion of value into a physical thing that retains its value in an unchanging 1-to-1 ratio. That just means if I work hard and generate 5 units of value and it's stored in a $5 bill, that 10 years later, that $5 bill still holds 5 units of value. An ideal currency can never have its value vaporized or inflated. A true ideal currency is impossible in the real world. For example, nothing could ever be truly indestructible, so for the sake of this video, ideal currency will mean the best possible currency we could actually achieve in the real world. The ideal currency has 11 central tenets according to my definition. It's accessible, it's accepted, perfectly scarce, durable, non-counterfeitable, highly divisible, decentralized, immutable, hard to hack or steal, stable, and it's portable. Let's quickly break down what each central tenet means and why it's necessary. Accessible. The ideal currency must be held or easily acquired by everybody. We can't have a currency that only 5 people in a whole country own. Accepted. Society must accept it as a form of payment. If 0 merchants accept it, you can't use it. It doesn't work as a form of currency. Scarce. It must be perfectly scarce, which means a limited supply which can never be altered. If supply can enter circulation, the currency gets devalued. If I have 1 gold bar, it's worth a lot. But if suddenly we found a giant giant gold mine and everyone got 1 billion gold bars? No one cares about my 1 gold bar. We need a scarce supply. Durable. Durable means the ideal currency cannot suddenly break or vanish. Durable consists of 4 things. 1. Perfect shelf life. Eggs can't be used as a currency because they spoil. 2. Durable. Glass can't be used because it can break. 3. Can't evaporate or disappear in some chemical reaction, so we can't use something like water. 4. It can't go offline, so for some other theoretical digital currency. Non-counterfeitable. An ideal currency cannot be counterfeited, so people can't make fraudulent purchases. Highly divisible. Currency, ideally, is a 1-to-1 representation of value. Let's say we have 4.123456 units of value, so ideally we would get in return 4.123456 units of currency. Decentralized. The ideal currency is decentralized, so it's not controlled by a single party. Ideally, humans are free from corruption, but as this is not the case, ideally, it is free from one single controlling authority. Decentralization prevents a single authority, let's say the government for example, from inflating the supply or modifying the rules. Decentralization is critically important to support the other tenets. Let me put it this way. If you're playing a game of Monopoly and the dealer is one of the players and has access to the bank and rules, you're not winning that game. I'm sorry. This is why in shows like American Idol, we don't let the judges also be contestants. Immutable. The ideal currency is immutable, which means the rules can't change. If 1,000 years later the rules change and the currency becomes very fragile, then it is no longer ideal. Hard to hack or steal. An ideal currency should be very difficult to steal or hack. I feel like I don't have to explain that one more. Stable. The value of the currency should not change wildly over time. If today I can buy a candy bar for $1, but tomorrow I can buy a house for $1, the units of value that the dollar represents are changing too quickly to be useful. Portable. The ideal currency needs to be easily portable and transferable. If it's not portable, we can't use it. Imagine we use 1,000-pound dumbbells as currency. Not very useful, is it? This is the biggest problem of gold. Gold is very, very heavy. I don't know if you've ever held gold, but it's heavy. This is why societies eventually switched away from gold. It was too hard if you had to lug it all the way to the opposite side of town to buy cattle, or if you had to load your ship for a voyage. Let's talk about the biggest problems with the US dollar. The US dollar is not scarce, not decentralized, only accepted in the US, and counterfeitable. The US dollar's biggest problem is its lack of scarcity and centralization. The United States government, especially in recent years, has been excessively printing money, accelerating inflation. This devalues the dollar and chips away at family net worth every single year. So what about gold? Gold is not portable, not accepted, not perfectly scarce because we keep finding more and more gold, and counterfeitable. Gold's biggest problem is its portability. Gold is extremely heavy, making it really difficult to use for transactions conveniently. That's why governments switched to paper dollars, which used to be a representation of gold, but it was revoked since governments printed more than they could reimburse. So finally, what about Bitcoin? Bitcoin meets almost all the criteria for being considered the ideal currency. The summary is that Bitcoin beats every other currency in almost every category. There are 2 criteria Bitcoin does not yet win, and they go hand in hand. 1, stable. 2, accepted. It's kind of a vicious cycle. If it's not stable, merchants won't accept it as a form of payment, and if it's not being accepted as a form of payment, it'll be tougher to stabilize its price. However, as time goes on, odds are its price will slowly stabilize, and more merchants will accept it as a form of payment. It is the best currency to date, but it is still brand new and not everyone understands or trusts it yet. As its volatility stabilizes, we're going to see a lot more people interacting with it. And once it's accepted, it'll be the most accepted form of currency since it can be used globally. National currencies, on the other hand, will only work in that specific country. Then, Bitcoin will meet every criterion of the ideal currency. It will be the best store of value humanity has ever created, a place you can store your wealth that will retain its value instead of losing it over time. You'll be able to pass your hard work on to your grandchildren, and they'll be able to use it to make better lives for themselves. Okay, so I exaggerated a little. Bitcoin is not yet the ideal currency, but it is surprisingly very close, and it's definitely better than the currencies we currently have. That's why I think it's a very important thing to learn about and understand so that the future doesn't catch you by surprise. I'm Benny, a crypto... Who am I? I'm Benny, a tutor and tech support agent at thecryptonerd.net. Schedule a video call with me if you want to talk more about Bitcoin. Remember, nothing in this video is financial advice. Guys, if you learned anything about Bitcoin's value as a currency, hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.